Good morning, everyone. Thank you for being here. Can everyone hear me clearly? Can you please drop in the chat for me if you can hear me? We will be starting in 1 minute. Okay, so we are going to go ahead and start. I assume that everyone should be able to hear me. If you can confirm that for me in the chat, I would really appreciate it. I am not sure if it allows the participants to type. Ryan, I just wanted to double check with you. The participants are able to communicate through chat?
Yes,
or is that this?
They will be able to, but they're still in the waiting room. Did you want to admit everybody?
Oh, okay. I would say yes.
Okay.
Let's go ahead and admit them.
Okay, I just want to say hey and good luck and say thanks so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, good morning, everyone. Thank you for being here. My name is Zara, and I am glad to be here participating in this conference, sharing my knowledge with you and also learn from all of you. If you can please confirm for me in the chat that you hear me clearly, I would really appreciate it so I can move on with the rest of the presentation. Awesome, perfect, thank you. Okay, let's go ahead and start. Again, my name is Zara. I teach math, computer science, business, and entrepreneurship at Wayne Rubel Middle School in Fontana, California. And today, the presentation I have to share with you is a hands-on project that we do in one of our math classes. And let me give you a little bit background about this math class. So this class is just a regular math class with computer science being integrated into it. So we have different units of study that we cover in this class. Artificial intelligence and data science is one of those units as well. So the project I've chosen for today's presentation is a project from our artificial intelligence unit. But before we start, let's see who we have here with us, and let's see how familiar you are with the Scratch, because that is the block coding platform I use in order to deliver this project. So I am going to drop a link to our quick poll here. If you can please respond to it, and also if you would like, you can share with us what part of the states or the world you are from and what role you have in the education field. That is totally optional. It's fun to see who we have in the room. So let's give it 1 minute to everyone for filling out the quick poll that we have, and I will be sharing the results with you here on my screen. Okay, perfect. Perfect. So we can dive in directly into the program, and that would be great. Awesome. Okay, let's go ahead. And we already took care of our quick poll. Okay. Now, I apologize in advance if you see me looking different directions here. I have multiple screens, making sure I'm able to monitor the chat and also run the presentation. So in this slide, I am sharing the learning outcomes with you because I feel like it's important that I communicated with you so you know what to expect to learn. In addition to that, I am also sharing some takeaways with you because we are not able to cover everything. So it's important that I share these resources with you. There are 2 resources I'm sharing with you today, and I am going to also drop them in the chat in a minute as well. I am also going to upload a PDF version of this slide, so you guys have that as well. The 2 resources I'm sharing, the first one is the lesson package. So I have included the solution code that we have for today, as well as the rubric, the grading rubric that I use to grade this project. And I do have a curated list of different resources that I use in order to teach about AI in both my computer science classes and my math classes. And what you will be getting out of today is that you will learn how to create a chatbot. It's a vocabulary chatbot. It's not a full functional chatbot. It's just a way to introduce the students to the concept of chatbots and for them to explore the idea and what is the technology behind it. And also, I want to emphasize on the fact that the focus is still math here, so they are able to apply their math knowledge and use AI as a tool to create an artifact. Okay. If at any point there's any question, please feel free to drop them in the chat, and I would be more than happy to help you with it. Let's go ahead and move on. And I am going to drop the link to the presentation for you. Okay, that's the link to the presentation. And I am also going to share the resources in the chat before we go any further. If you can give me a thumbs up in the chat to just confirm you've received those resources, that would be great. Awesome. Thank you, Ryan. Okay. So I want to clarify something here very quickly, and that is the fact that the project I am sharing with you today is a part of our math curriculum, okay? So what I share with my students or what they learn in our computer science classes about AI is totally different, and it's more comprehensive. So this is a snapshot of what I cover in our math class when I teach about AI. Because my focus is the math curriculum, so I will make sure that when I try to teach them, about computer science, it is not taking so much of my math curriculum. Instead, it is empowering them by giving them enough information to get curious and to want to explore it more. So in our AI unit, the way I started is that I usually show them a quick video, 2 to 3 minutes, not more than that, and then we run a class discussion. The total activity is about maybe 6-7 minutes. And then from there, I either give them some projects or some reading assignments as homework. And I usually, the way I grade those is that I leave it as optional extra credit, because again, the focus is math, but this is available to them if they are interested in learning more. There are 2 projects in this unit that are mandatory classroom projects, and one of them we will be exploring today. Let's take a look at what we cover here. We take a look at what AI is in this unit, and from there we will talk about machine learning. And after that, we are going to complete a project. I use Google's Teachable machine in order to have my students complete this project. And this is a very fun project. They use arm gesture to teach their machine to detect the slope. So we have like positive slope, negative slope, slope of 0, and undefined slope. So we talk about what the slope is. Again, the focus is math. They need to master that concept. They need to know what kind of slope they are representing. And then they teach their machines in order to be able to identify it using arm gesture. It's a very fun project. They really enjoy doing it. Then we get to the concept of chatbots. And again, these are videos from Khan Academy, which were, I guess, sourced out from Common Sense Media. And I have a list of all of these resources in the link that I shared with you. And the link to these resources are also in the slide. In case you just joined us, let me know. I will drop the link to the presentation one more time before we wrap up this session. Okay, so this is a project we are going to focus on today. Now, let's see how I run this project. Well, I have my students create vocabulary flashcards. So again, this project encourages students to create a chatbot in Scratch that teaches another student about certain math vocabulary terms that they have learned. So I usually give this portion of this assignment, creating flashcards, as either a check for understanding or even as an assessment. So students are in charge of creating their own flashcards. And this is a project that I usually use towards the end of the school year. So that way students have the option of choosing what unit do I want to choose my vocabulary from, because we are at that time of the year that we are starting to prepare for the state test. So we do a lot of review activities. This is going to be a great review activity as they go through their notebooks, they extract the vocabulary, even though sometimes they have a vocabulary list, but I always ask them to go above and beyond and also get creative with their definitions. And after we do this, we talk about the algorithm, which I am going to also share with you today. We talk about the algorithm. Okay, what are the steps when we go to Scratch? What are the steps? Or even before we go to Scratch, what are the steps? We need to have the list of vocabulary ready, and then we need to train our machine, our chatbot, on these vocabulary terms. And from there, we are going to decide how are we going to handle our data? How are we going to store and retrieve data? These are all concepts that we are teaching them. These are all machine learning, data science, computer science concepts that we are teaching them. And then from there, we will be integrating it in Scratch. Okay, so here is an overlook for the algorithm. We have our chatbot ask the user, what math vocabulary can I help you with? And then the users will respond. Then we will have 2 cases. So we will be using conditionals here. Case 1, the chatbot already knows the vocabulary term, so it will retrieve the definition. And case number 2, the vocabulary term is not available, so the chatbot will prompt the user to train the chatbot on the vocabulary term. And then once the chatbot is trained, it will store that particular vocabulary term, and then this process will repeat. Any questions so far? I want to make sure that I leave enough time for us for the hands-on project. So that way, if there's any questions or any challenges, we will have enough time to take care of it. Okay, so it looks like we are good. I don't see any question in the chat, so we can go ahead and move on. Before we dive into Scratch and start our coding experiment, I wanted to highlight something here. In today's project, we will be using lists and variables. So students, because we have been doing programming in my class, they are familiar with arrays, with variables, and the difference between them. But I thought I shared this with you, this visual, in case you want to teach your students about the difference between them too. Again, variable, you can consider it as a box that can hold one single value for you. And then we have an array or list in Scratch, which stores multiple values for us. And then we can make a reference to each value by the location of it. For example, this is the list that I have. This is item 1, item 2, item 3, item 4, item 5, and so on. Okay. Now, I am going to switch to Scratch, and based on the feedback that you guys gave me, almost everyone in the room, for the most part, they have used Scratch. And I see that we have one attendee who hasn't used Scratch. Feel free to reach out to me, please. I can share some resources with you to start learning Scratch and also teaching it. So Scratch can be accessed in 2 different ways. You can use it online. Some districts have blocked online Scratch because of the content that is available, because there are so many different contents available. My district has packaged it into an app, and it is available through our Microsoft store. We are Microsoft district, and we download it. So it is downloaded on students' local computers, and they interact with it that way. But depending on how your district handles it, you can either use a Scratch online or ask them to localize it for you. So that way you have a peace of mind when you are using it. Okay. So in Scratch Online, you need to have an account, and from there, you will start working on your project. It gives you an online storage platform where you get to store your projects. So for the attendee who is not familiar with the Scratch, please feel free to follow along with us. I would be more than happy to help you after if you have any questions. Okay, so as always, we are going to start with an event trigger here. We use the green flag here to start our events. And from there, I am going to use a forever loop because I want this to happen in a loop for me. Okay, now, the next thing we are going to do is that we are going to ask the user to let us know what vocabulary term we are going to help them with. So for that, we will be using a block from the sensing category, and that would be ask. Okay, let's see. Okay. What vocabulary would you like me to help you with? So that's the question we are asking. Before I kind of go further with this, since I knew all of you are familiar, or most of you are familiar with the Scratch, I didn't cover the sprite section or the backdrop section. So you have the option to create a backdrop of your choice. So you can go ahead and choose your backdrop if we want to give it a classroom setting or any other setting. So there is no classroom, or you can upload it yourself. Let's just give it a nice backdrop here. The choice is completely yours. I'm gonna just choose this backdrop here, so we at least have some colors. And you can go ahead and change your character. You can pick any of these characters if you want. I had a lot of my students, when they did this project, they chose their character, or they brought in a screenshot of themselves, like a headshot of themselves. Okay, so our sprite is going to ask, what vocabulary term can I help you with? And then from there, as we already covered, we have two different conditions. Either the chatbot is trained on the vocabulary term or it is not. So let's go in and bring in an if-then statement. Okay, now what we are going to do here, we are going to create, at this point, we are going to create our variables and our lists. Okay, so we are going to have one variable as our index to refer to the placement of our items in the list. And we are going to have two lists. We are going to have one list for the prompts, the vocabulary that the user is asking, and the other list is going to be used for the definitions. So I'm going to create my first variable. I call it index. This is our index variable. This index variable will be used in order to refer to the placement of my items in the list. And then I'm creating a list here. And let's go ahead and use prompts. That is the list I use for the prompts. And then I create another list. I use our definitions list here. Okay, now as you see, this is popping up here. I am going to keep it for now, but if you want it to be invisible, you can go ahead and make it invisible. So the choice is yours. Well, with the index, I don't really need to see it. I can keep these two here for now, so we can track our progress, but we are going to go back later and kind of reset these lists. So every time the program is run, we are able to start clean with training our vocabulary chatbot. Okay, now what am I going to say here? I want to say if, so I come down here, I want to say if this response here. So how do I refer to that response? So whenever Scratch asks for user's response, it goes in a predefined variable, which is called answer. So I am going to put it here, and I am going to tell my program, if the list of the prompts contains my answer, I want you to run this series of code. But if it does not, I want you to run these other set of codes for me. Now, what I will be doing here for the purpose of this program, instead of creating a function for each condition, I am just using broadcast. So broadcast in Scratch uses messages to trigger certain actions. And in order to do that, I am going to go to the events section, and I am going to use this block, broadcast and wait. Okay, So what message I want to broadcast here? Well, obviously, if the vocabulary is in the list of my prompts, I want to run the series of codes that is able to retrieve the definition of that vocabulary term for me. So I am going to create a new message, and I'm going to call it respond. Okay. Now, what if it is not and I need to train my chatbot? I will be using another block, and I am going to call this one learn, because we want to teach our chatbot. Okay, so I'm going to stop right now, and I want to check with you all. Are you guys following? Is there any question, any process that I need to go back and show you again? Please communicate with me in the chat if there is any area that I need to go back to explain again. Okay, sure. So I'm gonna, right now it's 8:54. I'm gonna give you guys 2 minutes to catch up. And in the meantime, those participants who need help with like setting up their stage or getting the blocks and not knowing where to get the blocks, please talk to me. I believe you should be able to unmute and speak to me as well. Okay. So if you would like me, I can go ahead and show you again how I like the process over here, how we got here. So first, we use our green flag trigger here. Then we go to the control section, we grab a forever block, and from there, we go to sensing, and we grab ask and wait. We put it here. Then we go back to control, and we choose the if then else block here. I put it here. And we came here. We defined our variables, variable index. Click on make a variable to create your index variable. And then create 2 lists here. Make a list. We created one as definitions, and then another one as prompts. And once we did that, we came down here. We want to check if the list of our prompts, so we grabbed this block, we placed it here. We want to check if the list of our prompts has the vocabulary the user needs help with. So we go back to sensing, we grab the answer, we put it here, and then this is what we will be doing, broadcast. So as I said, broadcast is simply a message that triggers certain actions for us. So what I did here, I came to the events section and I grabbed broadcast and wait. I grabbed this, I placed it here. So you are creating 2 new messages. So you will click on new message. You want to create a respond and a learn, because we are going to have 2 situations. The user, the chatbot either has the vocabulary or it does not. If it has the vocabulary term, we are going to call the codes, the set of codes that will retrieve the definition of that vocabulary for us. If it does not have it, we are going to retrieve the series of codes that will teach the chatbot how to like what the definition of that vocabulary is, and it trains it and then it stores it. Okay, are we good now? Can we resume? If you just give me a thumbs up, that would be sufficient. Okay, perfect. Okay, I'm glad everyone is caught up now. So the one that I'm going to start with is the learn set of codes, the message that responds to the learn trigger here. Okay, now what we are going to do, we are going to have an event starter here for us. When I receive, okay, so let's organize everything here so we can clearly see. When I receive learn, okay, when I receive learn, this is what I want you to do. First of all, when the chatbot does not have the vocabulary term, the first step would be for it to add it to the list of its prompts, right? So I'm going to go to the variable section, and I am going to grab this block, add things to this particular list. So what that thing is going to be. Let's grab it and place it here. So what we are going to add here is the answer that we got to our question, right? So I will come here, grab the answer and put it here. Where am I adding it? I am adding it to the list of the prompts, okay? So once I do that, I am going to prompt the user and let the user know I do not have this vocabulary. Can you please provide me with an explanation of it? So I will go to sensing again, and I will ask. Okay, so we can say, sorry, I do not know the definition of this particular word. Can you please help me with it? So that is a simple message that we can put in here. Would you please define it for me? Okay. So we are going to send out this message, and we are going to wait for the answer. Once we receive the answer, we need to add it to the list of the definitions. So I want you guys to imagine how these two lists are going to work. They are going to work parallel together. Okay, so item number one in the in our prompts list corresponds to item number one in the definitions list. Those of you who've done Python, this is like using a dictionary. Okay, so we are going to have parallel lists here, and each item in list one in the prompts list will correspond to each item to the definitions list. So I just want you to kind of visualize that to understand it. So I am going to add the answer to this question to my definitions list. So I go here, I add this answer now, because the answer, it saves the most current response to the ask block at any given time. So I will add it here, and I am adding it to definitions. Okay, I'm giving you a minute to make sure you catch up. And please, at any time you need me to slow down so you can catch up, feel free to go ahead and do that. Just message me in the chat, and I will stop, pause, and give you some time to catch up. Okay, looks like we are good here. We can continue. Okay. So once the user teaches us about the vocabulary term, we don't want to be rude, right? Just add the definition to our list and move on. We want to be polite and message the user. And by the way, the reason I say this is because my belief is that I am not just teaching academics. As a teacher, I need to teach life skills and manners as well. So whenever I find an opportunity to squeeze in a life lesson, I make sure I do that. And this is one of the examples of it. So in order to message our user and thank them for teaching us, we are going to go to the looks block here. And we are going to grab this block, say something for 2 seconds. Okay, and we are saying, okay, thank you for teaching me. And we can present that message for 2 seconds, and then we are good to go. Okay, let me just move my sprite. Now, we are done here teaching our chatbot. Now we are going to put together the series of codes or blocks here that will present the definition to the user. So again, in order to do that, we are going to have another message triggered for us, and that is going to be the respond message. So you will go to event and you will say when receive the respond message. This is what you are going to do. Okay. What we are going to do here is this. Let's go back because I want to make sure everyone understands the algorithm in this section. When we prompt the user to enter a vocabulary term, right? They enter a vocabulary for us, and we put it in the and we are going to look for it in the prompts list. Once we find it in our prompts list, since this is a list, each list item has a number, which we refer to it as the index number of that particular item in the list. Like the shoe storage that I showed you, each cell or each compartment has a number labeled to it, right? Because that helps us to kind of refer to each item to the list. So it will be able to find that particular vocabulary in my prompts list. Now I want to ask it, I want to retrieve the index number of that particular prompt for myself. So what I will do here, I go to the variables list, okay? And I will set, let's see, I will set index. I am going to grab this. So I will go slow here because there are multiple commands involved here. So I'm going to take my time and go slow, giving you guys time to kind of comprehend and digest this information and also be able to apply it to create your own blocks of code. So we are going to set our index, which is used to refer to each compartment within our list. We are going to set it to that particular number that corresponds to our prompt. So in order to do that, I need to go to my list here. This particular block here, item number. Item number here. I grab it. And I'm going to put it here. So set the index to the item number of what? To the item number of answer. So whatever that we had here. In the prompts list. Okay. So now we know what is the index of that vocabulary term in the prompts list, because then we can go to the definition list and retrieve our corresponding definition for that particular vocabulary term. So I'm gonna pause for a minute for you guys to catch up. If there's any questions, please communicate with me. Okay. Whenever ready, let me know. Okay. Okay, so we are going to move on. Now we want the sprite here to show us the result of the answer here. So which is going to be the definition for the vocabulary term that we just typed in. So you are going to go to looks. You can either use say or think. I prefer to use think because then it shows like the thinking or the speech bubbles, a representation of, oh, this is my answer. And then I'm gonna grab it here. And what are we going to present? That's the definition, but how am I going to associate that vocabulary term with the definition? I am going to go down here to the variable list and the variables and list section. And I'm going to grab this one, item number of this particular list. So that is going to grab item number. So how did I define that item number? I used index for it, right? So I come here, I grab index, and I place it here. Okay. It is going to grab that corresponding item in the definition list for me. And it's going to project it on the screen for me for 2 seconds. So this, at this point, concludes our program, the program that we wanted to create for the chatbot. There are a little tweaks here and there that I'm going to go add right now, but I want to give you guys about maybe 5 minutes. Let's give it 5 minutes, and I will be available to answer any questions you have, but I want you guys to take your time during this 5 minutes that I'm giving you to train your chatbot. And if any one of you would like, I believe you should be able to share your screen. If you are not, maybe you can just unmute and share your experience with us, and also share, you know, if you came up with some ideas on how to use it, because this is definitely something that doesn't apply only to middle school math. This can be used in other content areas. The possibilities are basically endless with this. This can also be taught in upper elementary classrooms as well. So I'm going to set my timer here, 5 minutes, and I will be available to answer any questions you guys have. Please go ahead, train your chatbot. Right now it's 9:13. We will be back at 9:18. Okay. I am available to answer any questions you may have. And when we come back, we can run the program together. Hi, Nikki. That's a very good question. No, I do require them to create the chatbot because this is part of our, I don't know if you joined us from the beginning or not, but this is a project within a math classroom. So they are required to create the list of the vocabulary terms and their definitions, and they have it ready. Then I will teach them like step by step, the way I taught you guys today, the way I showed you. I teach them how to build the chatbots, and then I will have them train their chatbots with the vocabulary term that they have in hand. But I would like to add that the vocabulary term is a part of this project, which I grade separately. So once they have created their vocabulary terms, I will make sure they make sense, so I will grade it. Then I give them the okay to go in and train their chatbots using those vocabulary terms. So the goal with this project is for them is to kind of apply their math knowledge and use computer science as a tool to kind of master that math concept, but also explore a field of computer science like AI in this case. So we are tackling multiple goals here, multiple learning targets here. Definitely creating the chatbot is something that I expect from them. I show it to them, then they will create it. And I also, when you check the rubric, you will see that I have included some points in there for creativity. Yes, they have a lot of fun. I have to add that again, because I am restricted with the time that I have in a math class, because we still need to meet the math standards. This will be more fun in a computer science elective class, but then again, I would like to make it fun in math as well. And I have some students who are not able to take computer science as an elective because of other classes that they wanted to take. So this is a great way to kind of get them introduced to computer science too, since they are interested and they haven't been able to take a full course on it. Thank you for asking that question. Okay, so I hope that everyone had a chance to train their chatbot, and I wanted to show you guys a couple of things here, and we are going to kind of train. I'm going to show you another program with same thing, same concept, different background, where a chatbot is trained, or I can probably train this chatbot here. Something I wanted to add: if you want your program to start clean at any given time that you run it, what you can do once you start the program, you can set your index to 0, okay? And you can go in and delete all of the previously trained items here. So for both the prompts and the definitions. And again, if you do not want to see these two windows here, which shows us live what are the vocabulary terms we already have trained our chatbot on and what the definitions are, you can go in here and you can make them invisible. So I'm gonna run the program. Let me move these. Okay. And you know, right now, you see, this is not a great user interface design. So we also get to talk about these things when the students create their projects. So as you see, this is a totally interdisciplinary approach to teaching and learning, because we get to bring in a lot of different concepts and talk about them. Let's go ahead and hide these for now. And let's move my sprite here, so that way it's not covered. What vocabulary would you like me to help you with? I'm gonna put constant. Sorry, I do not know the definition of this word. Would you please define it for me? And we can say it's a value that does not change. Thank you for teaching me. Now, if I go in and I put constant, now it has it. So you can go ahead and have your students come up with a list of 5 to 10 vocabulary terms, depending on the context of your project and how you use this. And from there, students will use that list to create and train that, and to kind of create a chatbot that helps with those particular vocabulary terms. And something else I also do with this project is that I have my students grade their peers' projects. Of course, I am always monitoring, taking notes, supervising the whole progress. I also have my own input into it. But since this is a vocabulary chatbot, and the way I use it is that each student chooses a different unit of study, I have students to grade each other's work with 2 goals. Learning how to kind of judge such an artifact is important, because then they can compare it to their own, and they will see if there was any area to improve on my own, or on my own project, or they can kind of get inspired with their peers' artifacts as well. And the other goal is that since we are using different units, students get to review different vocabulary terms. So I highly suggest this project. You can use it again in different content areas. You know your standards, your topics better, your content areas better. I'm sure you can get inspired to use them in whatever manner that will benefit your students. So at this point, we have covered everything that I had planned to cover for you guys. I know that when I go to conferences, like online conferences, I always try to get the most out of it. So that way I can give you guys some time to hop in other rooms. If you want to get some resources, please feel free to do that. We have a question here. Can you repeat how you get the chatbot, the words, and the definition? Can you please clarify that in the coding aspect of it or the execution aspect of it? If you can just put that in the chat so I know which one to cover. Oh, programming, yes. Okay. So within the programming environment, first we start with the prompt, and we are going to have two conditions. Condition one, we have the vocabulary in our chatbot. Condition number two, we do not have it. If I do not have the vocabulary in my chatbot, I will run this series of codes. I use the broadcast option of Scratch to trigger the learn message here. And what I do, I add that particular vocabulary that the user just gave me to my prompts list, okay? Because as I said, I have two lists running concurrently in a parallel format together. I have my prompts and I have my definitions. Yes, this is where the user adds the new vocabulary terms and the definitions. So I prompt the user, I ask for the vocabulary, then I check, I do not have it, I come here, I add that vocabulary to my prompts list, and then I tell the user, can you please define it for me? And the result of this command, the answer I get from this command, I save it in the definitions list. So that is how I get to train the chatbot. That's how I collect the vocabulary and the definition. Yes, the user adds the vocabulary. So we are training the chatbot ourselves. Can you show the example again of how the user adds it? So over here, the way the user adds it is like this. It runs. What vocabulary word do you want me to help you with? I put variable. Okay, that is not in my list. So you see this block of code is running here. Sorry, I do not know the definition. So we are going to provide a definition here. A value that changes. A value that changes, for example. Okay, so I trained it now. So if I put variable here, then it gives me the definition. Did I answer your question, or did you want to see this step by step here? Okay, I answered it. Awesome. And I believe all of these sessions are recorded. So at any time, if you need to go back and get your questions answered, you can go ahead and watch the video again. Okay, I'm glad that the question was answered. Can you make user input not case sensitive? I believe it is not case sensitive when I tried it. Let's see. Yeah, it is not case sensitive. And you know, I already checked into it. Your definitions can be quite lengthy, so it's not restricting you on the amount of input that you enter as much. So if you want to use it for other content areas, like as a test review for social studies, for example, questions and answers, you should be able to do it. That's why I say this can be applied to different content areas. Okay, everyone, so I hope this session was helpful in inspiring you to use Scratch in a way to create a chatbot or to integrate other content areas within your content that you teach. And at any point, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. You can connect with me through social media. I am more active on LinkedIn. I use it as a professional development platform for myself, actually, and to also communicate and connect with other educators. I share on Twitter as well, here and there, but feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions, you need any resources. I would be more than happy to help you with it. And this is the screenshot of the session feedback. Feel free to scan it and fill it out. You are good to go. We have concluded this session. I just have one question. I'm going to go over it, but you guys are good to go. Have a great day, everyone. Okay, my bot keeps asking me, Nikki, are you still there? Yes. Okay. I'm trying my bot. As far as I have looked, I cannot find any difference in my coding. Unfortunately, I made my bot on different machines, so I can't share my screen easily. Any guess as Nikki, I am going to drop my email address for you in the chat. Feel free to send me a screenshot of your code, and I will be more than happy to help you with it and respond. Okay, I need to leave the room to make it available for the next session, but feel free to email me. Yes, I am going to drop the link to the slides before I go one more time.